back to another episode of Let's Talk Boxing. I'm Leti.
I'm LB.
And let's go over one of the fights we had this weekend.
Yeah.
So we had Emanuel Navarrete,
AKA Vaquero.
out of Mexico, versus Liam Wilson out of Australia.
Yeah.
So I think this was one of my fights of the night for me that I enjoyed watching mostly. We had some good fights overall this weekend, but I would have to say I kind of really enjoyed watching this fight. Originally, this fight had to, it was going to be a Mexican-on-Mexican war. We're going to have Oscar Valdez up for the belts. But as we know, Valdez had to pull out because of an injury.
Yep,
so we had Liam.
Rib injury. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then we had Liam as a replacement. And what did you think about him?
I mean, just like probably a lot of other people, when I saw that Liam was the replacement, I was a little discouraged. I wasn't too happy. For the simple fact that I wanted to see that the Mexican on Mexican war with him and Valdez. We've been talking about that fight for a while. We were looking forward to that fight after the Shakur fight. So I definitely wanted to see that fight. And then once I saw Liam Wilson, I saw he only had 12 fights, and in 3 fights before that, he had been stopped. So I was trying to wrap my head around the fact that he was the number 3 in the WBO. And, there was other fighters around there who are undefeated, who have fought similar competition, if not, and some that fought better competition. So I wasn't as excited for this matchup. And I was even telling her that. And what did you say?
I said never count an Australian out.
And what else?
I forgot what I said, a lot of stuff. I said, look, when that fight happened and he wasn't so happy about the fight, I said a lot of stuff because, for one, Navarrete got to get his stuff together, and we know how he's looked in the previous fights. And for one, too, I said never count an Australian out. I said, like you said, you weren't so happy. I was like, look, I don't know. I feel like, for one, the Australian Jew got to, he got to prove a point. And I said, one punch could change everything.
Yeah, you definitely said that. And you also mentioned the fact that Navarrete doesn't always come in 100%, doesn't always come in 100%. And so, and sometimes leaves a door open for things like that because he doesn't come in 100%.
Yeah, and then there was also talks about they're going to put him in there with someone who's not a high risk because obviously they want Navarrete to win this belt so he can have that fight with Valdez. Yeah. But I was like, something is telling me do not count Wilson out because
she was saying it.
I was like, 1 punch can change anything. 2, you have to think about what kind of fighter Navarrete is. I just feel like Navarrete sometimes goes in there just wanting to end the fight with a quick knockout because his stamina is just not good when he's in that ring. And
I'll say this, even though sometimes, he has struggles making weight and his body doesn't look the best, I will say this, he still continues to throw bunches on bunches when it comes to these punches. You know what I mean? He still throws, no matter what condition he comes in, he still throws a lot of punches. I will say that. When he's in the ring, he is such a exciting fighter to watch. Just because his awkwardness and the fact that he throws bombs and he got power in both hands.
He does. And as we were watching the fight, I was just like, I just kept what? I'm like, I know this dude, the way he fights is really awkward, but it's like, I forget and then I see him, I'm like, this dude is so awkward when he fights. Yep. It's like the punches that he throws, the uppercuts, he jumps and leads when he does them, but he leaves himself wide open and he's just such an awkward fighter. He fights from the side, but he gets people out of there. He's got the power, and one of the things is can he take his power to the next division? And Liam was kind of taking some of his punches until they stopped the fight. Yeah,
and they kind of talked about that. Yeah, he definitely is one of the most awkward fighters, and he would definitely be hard to game plan for because there's not any fighter who kind of fights like him. Yeah, he definitely throws those leaping shots. And he's such a long fighter as well. Yeah. Liam also talked about it, how it was hard for him to judge the distance because of the way, the unorthodox movement and his length, it gave him some problems. Mm-hmm. So, it kind of goes with what you said. And like you said, this is Navarrete's first time at at the 130-pound division. And it was interesting because we were curious to see, how he would actually look in that division. And so definitely his power was there. You could see that it did take more shots than it normally takes.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yep, to knock him down. And I mean, like I said, Navarrete, again, we don't know how he's making the weight. And I don't know how his camp is, but like I said, I think that he probably needs to bring his camps maybe to the States or somewhere where he's not so comfortable to take him out of his comfort zone. So he can stay focused. He could probably get some kind of nutritionist going on so he can make the weight, be conditioned properly, because when he got knocked down in one of the rounds, it was controversial also. People were like, they gave him too much time to recover. And I felt like had he been conditioned a little bit better, he could have got up and looked a little bit better. Just like when Liam got knocked down, he got up and he looked like, okay, he was still there. He was conditioned and he was ready for it. And I like Navarrete. I want to see him do better. I want him to see get better in conditioning and just have a better camp, like you said, outside of his comfort zone, somewhere out of there, so he can get more focus.
Yeah.
And that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, and another thing, he always, he has mentioned that, sometimes he struggles to get motivated for fights. And so, it could have been that, since he did have, it could have been that since he was looking forward to that Valdez fight. And, once it was Liam Wilson, maybe he was motivated, but, that's no excuse. No excuse. And, to talk a little bit more about, him at the division, it's going to be interesting because, he definitely felt the power of Liam Wilson. And Liam Wilson definitely got the respect from Navarrete.
And
his team. And there was times where he was pushing Navarrete back, and he hurt. We don't usually see Navarrete hurt like this, and he hurt Navarrete twice. And it wasn't. And when I talked about the fight in the beginning, why I wasn't too excited for it, it had nothing. It had nothing to do with him as a fighter, and he definitely came to fight, but it was more along the lines of, this was a vacant world title, and I just thought it should, I was just trying to wrap my head around that. But yeah, he definitely, he came to fight. Leading up into this fight, he said things like, Navarrete is, he's been a weight bully. And this is the first time, he's going to be in there with somebody his size and who's going to be able to bully him. And and when we looked at the fight, he definitely was Navarrete's size. But in the end, Navarrete did end up bullying him as well. But like I said, leading up to the fight, he was talking about that left hook. And that left hook definitely has some stank on it, because that was the punch that he landed on Navarrete. And both of the times that he hurt Navarrete, he landed in between shots. The first one when he landed that left hook is because he was throwing with that lead uppercut that he's known for, and he countered him with the left hook and just hurt him. And it had him stumbling. His corner wish he would have maybe took a knee.
Yeah, and like the whole fight, I was like, dude, that right hand, Navarrete's right hand was just not up there. I kept saying he got to put that hand up there, and he got caught with the left hand.
Yeah. And to kind of go about that, we've always known Navarrete has not been the best defensively, but for Navarrete, it's always been his best offense is his defense.
And but see, that's the thing. I feel like he just goes in there. I'm gonna knock this person out, and so he ain't got to condition so much. I just wish he would. I don't know if that's his game plan, whatever. But this time he got caught. His corner was like, "Yo, don't let him hit you. Take a knee." It literally told him, "You were feeling like that. You should have took a knee." And I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
You took punishment. You were gonna go down regardless. You might as well have not took those shots and took a knee. Now his corner was also telling him, like you said, don't throw as many punches, because he was getting caught in between the punches. So they were like, maybe jab, 1-2 move, and just don't throw too many, because he was getting countered.
And it was funny when they said that. I even agree with Tim Bradley and Andre Ward on that. They're pretty much telling him to be who he's never been. Yeah. And he actually went out there and he still remained himself, even though he got dropped and hurt. I mean, he showed the heart of a champion, coming back, fighting strong, and digging deep. And he was, and he still was throwing bombs. But yeah, as the fight went on, that awkwardness just continued to just give him problems. In the 9th round, the pace the pace just ended up being, kind of overwhelming for Liam. And he caught him with an overhand right to start the ninth. And after that, he kept on the pressure. Navarrete kept on the pressure, got him up against the ropes, and that's when the refs, called it over.
Yeah.
And so, Liam Liam talked about, how awkward he was and how it was hard to find that distance. When he started to slow down, due to the body shots and the overwhelming pressure of Navarrete, it makes it even that much harder to get out of the way of his punches because it's not something that you're used to. You're not used to someone moving like that and throwing punches from those angles. So when he got tired, it seemed like Navarrete was damn near landing everything he was throwing.
Yeah, and I guess that's why I think that was one of the fights that I really enjoy watching, just because it was kind of unexpected. Like, you didn't know how it was happening. Like I said, a lot of people were like, this fight against Liam, and it's going to be an easy one for Vaquero to win. But no, he was giving him some problems, and it was like, damn, he hurt him, and it was just a lot of action. So I was really like, oh shit, what's going to happen, So I guess it was kind of one of the fights, for me. But
yeah, and Navarrete, he leaned on, I think he leaned on, experience that he had, professional experience that he had over Liam Wilson. Definitely he's got the experience. He's got 35 plus fights. Yeah, so he did lean on his experience and he was able to get him out of there. You did kind of talk about the controversy in the fight. And there was this fight was controversy from the beginning before the fight got started. And at the end, you saw when they interviewed Liam Wilson, he definitely brought up the count. He goes, I feel like it was like 30 seconds that the ref gave him to recover. And he goes, so I'm definitely going to have that reviewed. And, we see sometimes these long counts. I would like to know the official rule. I would like the referee to come out and actually say, what the rule is on this. But I definitely did think it was a long count.
Wait, is that what Liam said, or you want to know?
No, Liam Wilson said that.
Oh, because I want to know too.
Yeah.
I want to know what it is, because he spit his mouth part out. He counted to 10, and then Navarrete spit his mouthpiece out, and he was trying to put it back up, and it took longer. Yeah. So I want to know the rules with that too. And
even that whole situation with the knockdown, because the other part, that I don't see a lot of people talking about is also, as Navarrete, he was going down, he had both, I believe he had, his hands down, and he was still hit by Liam Wilson. So that was kind of a legal hit that, hasn't been really getting talked about. But, so first it was that, then it was the long count. So it was kind of a mess. And I talked about, how there was kind of controversy before the fight even started at the weigh-in. So it didn't shock me that Liam Wilson was going to say that I want to have this reviewed. Because
whole case.
Yeah, because in the weigh-in he made a case that Navarrete, he thinks that the weight the scale was tampered with because he said he weighed himself 20 minutes before and he weighed right under 130, and then when he got on the scale he was 126 pounds. Navarrete was coming in at 129 point something. So, and he has said that he hasn't weighed that in all his career. So, definitely was kind of controversy about that. And so, after the count, I was like, I know he's going to be pissed. Liam Wilson, I know he's probably going to say something about that count too.
Yeah, and he did.
Yep, and he did.
And I got to say, Liam made a name for himself on this division. He got some respect.
Yeah, he definitely got the respect because he definitely hurt Navarrete in a way that we haven't seen Navarrete. So, and a lot of people were counting up. He definitely came to win. I knew the part where I kind of got excited after I started looking in more to Liam was when I found out that he actually was trained by Barry Hunter. Oh. And Barry Hunter, he's a hard nosed, no nonsense type of trainer. And I feel like he's never happy, but he's one of the best motivators when it comes to motivating in the corner. And he was giving him good advice. Remember when he said in the fight, he goes, "Yeah, I told you about getting too ballsy."
Oh, he said something like that.
Yeah. So, and Barry Hunter, he's got a strong stable over there. So he definitely did what he's supposed to do to prepare for this fight and coming to the States. And actually, joining that gym and joining with Barry Hunter. Yeah,
but I think I know what's next for Navarrete if everything goes as planned.
Yep, it should. There's only one fight at this point that we should see.
Yeah.
And that's Oscar Valdez. He was at the fight We even saw him coaching him up a little bit after he got hurt, right?
I feel like he would, like how you said, I seen him, I'm like, oh, he really out there coaching Navarrete, because I mean, obviously he don't want to lose that bag.
Yeah, he don't want to mess that money up
in that big fight.
Yeah.
So he was kind of coaching him, screaming to him something or whatever, but I feel like he was licking his lips in the stands, like, okay, I know what I could do, you know. But that's the next fight to have. Yep. Even Navarrete said in one of the interviews, like, there's just not pretty much with his career, he needs to have a head-on Mexican fight, a war, to really just determine his career, he said. So, and he said that is going to be with Valdez. Yep. And I just feel like you said he might get more motivated and, you know, his training up a little bit different for that fight. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, that's the fight to make, and that's the fight that everyone wants to see. I think their two styles are gonna make for an action-packed fight. I think we're gonna get that Morales Barrera fight. You know, that's the fight that Oscar Valdez has always kind of talked about. So I think it's gonna be a war like that.
Yeah. So, and you know what? Actually, Navarrete and Oscar Valdez talked about, both of them said the same thing. They need that Mexican war, and that's going to be between them. So that's going to be really exciting fight to watch. So I wonder how people are going to who they got on that fight, the CS 50-50. I wonder what people are going to need on that.
Yep, definitely going to have to join us for the prediction on that one. But that's all we got. Let us know below what you thought of the fight. But that's all we got. So thanks for tuning in, y'all.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Or talk your shit.